Hello, my dear students. A very warm welcome to all of you in Shri Jayendra Rank Zone. I am your friend and mentor for the subject Business and Commercial Knowledge. In this lecture, we'll continue with Chapter 1, that is Business and Commercial Knowledge and Introduction. All the concepts will be covered in the coming series of lectures. This is Lecture 3. Let us begin. In the last class, we have started with the distinction between business, profession, and employment. We have seen the meaning of business, profession, and employment. We are going to discuss today the distinction of it in a very detailed manner. We have just introduced the topic to you. Let us start with the distinction between business, profession, and employment, but in a much detailed manner. Point number one, meaning. Meaning. Business, entire spectrum of market oriented activities coming under industry, trade, and commerce. Industry, trade, and commerce. The objective of business is to earn profit. The objective of business is to earn profit. Profession, independent rendering of services of specialized nature based on prescribed qualification under the aegis of a professional body that also prescribes a code of conduct. So in a profession, few things are required. Number one, profession begins with a professional qualification. Qualification like chartered accountant under the aegis of a professional body like ICAI, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and prescribes a code of conduct. So, in CA Act, a prescribed ethical code of conduct is already there. All the CAs need to follow that. I believe you understood. So, there should be a professional qualification under the aegis of a professional body, and that body should also prescribe an ethical code of conduct that should be applicable to all the professionals who are working under that body. I believe you understood. Let us see the third point, and that is employment. What is the difference between business, profession, and employment? Employment comes into existence under a contract. So, rendering of services under a contract of employment for what? For wages or salaries. Also called a wage employment. It also called a wage employment. Generally, wages is received by the worker working in a factory. Wages is received by the worker working in a factory. Salary is received by salary is received by employee working in office. Working in office. Point number two, mode of establishment. Mode of establishment. So generally a business establishes after fulfilling all the legal formalities and getting it registered. So entrepreneur's decision. So business comes into existence with entrepreneur's decision. Entrepreneur decide to start a new business, to start a new venture, and other legal formalities if necessary. If it is a sole tradership, then there would be not much legal responsibility. But if the entrepreneurs is starting a business in the form of factor, in the form of a company, if the entrepreneur is starting the business in the form of a company, then obviously there would be so many legal formalities that he needs to perform. Profession, membership of a professional body and certificate of practice. Membership of a professional body like membership of ICAI, membership of ICSI, or a professional body ICMAI. These are the professional body, or Bar Council of India for the lawyers. And the professional should also possess a certificate of practice, COP, certificate of practice. Let's talk about employment now. The mode of establishment in employment is letter of appointment and service agreement. Letter of appointment given by the employer, given by the employer, given by the employer to employee, and the service agreement stating all the facts regarding the employment. Let's shift to point number three, basis of distinction. Source of livelihood. Generally, the return of business is known as profit. A professional works for professional fee, so he received professional fee in return. In employment, generally an employee or worker receives wages and salaries. If it is an employee, it would be termed as salary. If it is a worker, it would be termed as wages. So wages and salaries. Next point, prescribed qualification. To start a business, there is no such prescribed qualification. If a person has not, if a person is uneducated, he still can start a business. He still can start a business. There is no prescribed qualification. No prescribed qualification. But supposingly, if a person is qualified, if a person is educated, obviously he will get a good business sense. He will behave in a very rational manner. Profession, prescribed qualification, strictly prescribed. This means what? The qualification in professional body is strictly prescribed. Example, if somebody wants to be a doctor, he should be MBBS. Dentist should have the qualification of BDS. CA should have the qualification of a chartered accountant from ICAI. Company secretary should have the qualification of company secretary from ICSI. I believe you understood. Fourth, minimum qualification for each type of job, that is employment. Minimum qualification for each type of job. Example, if I talk about employment, now if somebody wants to be a receptionist, receptionist. So accordingly, the receptionist, there is no prescribed qualification for receptionist, but there should be a minimum qualification so that he will be able to understand and handle the clients well. Salesman, etc., etc. I believe you understood. Human resource professional, human resource professional, human resource personnel, and so on, and so on. Let us move ahead. Fifth is ethical guidance. So in business, there is no such ethical guidance which is specified somewhere. So in case of business, the founder values will act as a ethical guidance. In case of business, the founder values will act as a ethical guidance. In case of profession, in case of profession, the professional body will prescribe the professional codes. Professional codes prescribed by the professional body. Prescribed by the professional body. Ethical codes is prescribed by, or professional ethics is prescribed by ICAI for chartered accountants. In case of employment, employer's code will act as a ethical guidance. In case of employment, employer's code will act as a ethical guidance. Next point, investment. In a business, form of business, obviously there is a substantial investment which is required. Investment which is required in the form of capital or startup capital. In case of profession, some requirement of capital for office, chamber or clinic. If it is a doctor, clinic. If it's a lawyer, chamber. If it's a CA, it's office. Office, chamber or clinic, some capital is required. Some requirement of capital is there. In case of employment, no requirement of capital is there. No requirement of capital. No requirement of capital in case of employment. Next point, personal autonomy or freedom. If you are running a business, you are your own boss. The most you are your own boss. In case of a business, full freedom. You have full freedom. You can take all the decisions. You can, if you want to make purchases, you can make purchases. You can fix your suppliers. So you have full freedom. In case of profession, you have freedom, but quite a bit, because there is a professional code of conduct which is applicable on profession, and the professional needs to behave under the perspective of that code of conduct. The ethical code of conduct set by the institute, set up by the organization, the institution. In case of employment, there is no professional autonomy, not much professional autonomy. If the employer wants to give autonomy to the employee, in that case the employee will get autonomy, otherwise not. So not much autonomy in case of employment. We have to work according to the will and wish of the employer. Not much autonomy. Next point, popular psychological motive. In case of business, the psychological motive is profit. So that is an economic achievement. Economic means money, that is profit. And this will act as a psychological motive, the objective. In case of profession, service to the clients and society will act as a motive. In case of doctor, if the patient is cured and he's feeling happy now, there would be a satisfaction level in the doctor that yes, he has cured a, a patient and now he is not suffering. So service to the clients and society. Same in case of lawyer. If some client has approached a lawyer and the lawyer won the case and the client is happy, in that case the lawyer will get satisfaction. Obviously he will get money also. Popular psychological motive in case of employment is livelihood. People do employment for livelihood. Certainty of income. Certainty of income. In case of business, least. However, either way. Generally what happens? Generally a business gets profit because the businessman must taken a calculative risk. He generally calculate the cost, add some margin, and then he make sales to his customers. But still, I would say that the certainty of income is least in case of a business because there is a term which is not a business environment. Anything could happen to a business any a time. So there is least certainty. Least certainty. In case of profession, quite a bit certainty. Quite a bit certainty. In case of employment, the most contractually determined periodic income is fixed. In case of employment, the most contractually determined periodic income is fixed. So mostly it is certain. Mostly it is certain. The income is certain that okay, fine, this much amount he is going to receive in case of employment. But nobody knows what profit a businessman will make. Stability of tenure or durability of occupation. In case of business, the durability of occupation or stability of tenure is not certain. Supposingly, if business began in 2015, it may happen that the business will close down in 2016. It may happen that the business will run for 100 years. The way you operate a business, the way you organize things, the way you handle the situation, the managerial skills of an entrepreneur, the decision making skills of an entrepreneur, the business environment, internal environment, external environment, everything will, so everything in combination, they will decide the certainty or durability of an occupation. So in case of business, it is highly uncertain. The durability of occupation is highly uncertain. But in case of profession, it is quite certain. Supposingly, there is a doctor and he qualified at the age of 25. Now, he has started his practice in the age of 26. So generally, he is certain that he is going to work as a doctor in his clinic for this many years. The same is applicable in case of employment. If somebody has opted for employment, he is a contracted employee because generally employment contract is there, an agreement, employment agreement is there between the employer and employee. Both need to follow that. So quite certainty is there that this much amount he will receive as salary. This would be the promotional criterias. This would be the basically the employment contract is of 5 years. So for 5 years, there is no issues with the job. So quite certainty is there. Transfer of interest or succession. In business, the transfer of interest is possible. In business, transfer of interest is possible. Dhirubhai Ambani, Dhirubhai Ambani transferred the business interest, the business interest to Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, to Mukesh and Anil Ambani. I believe you understood. So transfer of interest is possible or succession is possible. Like Tata Motors has acquired Range Rover, Land Rover and Jaguar. So transfer of interest is possible. In case of profession, not possible at all. In case of profession, not possible at all. Supposingly Mr. A is a doctor. Before dying, Mr. A can't transfer his certificate of practice and his degree to his son, Mr. Small a. He can't transfer the degree and the qualification and certificate of practice to his son, Mr. Small a. It is not possible at all. Same in case of employment, not possible at all. The transfer of interest is not possible at all. Job creator, not job seeker. Business as an institution is a source of sustenance directly to the business owners and employees and indirectly to those who derive opportunities from it. This is a unique characteristic of business that separates it from other occupations. Yes, professional in practice may also generate some employment, but certainly not in numbers that business is capable of generating. What happens is a lot of employment is generated by the businessmen. So business generates a lot of employment. Business contracts with a supplier. So he is generating business for supplier also. He is serving the society. That means he is serving the customers by fulfilling their needs, by offering them the products. The employees get benefited from the business. Governments collect taxes from the business. People do investment in the business. So business is a source of prospective investments also. For investors, I believe you understood this. Next is provides momentum to economic growth in an country. Provides momentum to economic growth. What is economic growth? It is persistent increase in an country's GDP, that is gross domestic product. What is GDP? It is the value of all the goods and services produced in a country during a particular period. Business output comprehensively contributes toward GDP and economic growth of a country. How is economic growth distinguishable from economic development? What is the difference between economic growth and economic development? how these two terms are different with each other. Whereas growth merely implies increase in GDP numbers, economic development implies diversification of an economy's capability and improvement in the quality of lives of a people, improving the standard of living of the people. Business, through research and development, education and training and development of employees, and by sheer guts and courage of experimenting and innovation, brings about development in the society. Businessman is a risk taker. In fact, it is pertinent now to introduce the term entrepreneur over here. In common parlance, the term business person and entrepreneur are synonyms. Even we shall be using these two terms interchangeably. However, entrepreneurs are better characterized by their problem solving, new opportunity seeking behavior that draws on their creativity and innovation. I believe you understood. So business gives momentum to economic growth in any country. The next is investment intensive. Investment intensive. Starting a business requires a sizable investment of funds in accommodation, plant and machinery. If you're beginning a business, you need to purchase plant and machinery, and for buying plant and machinery, you need finance. For stock, that is inventories, because in business generally some inventory is sold. In accounting, investment requirements are estimated as the sum of fixed assets and non-current assets and net current assets. Indeed, investments are necessary for technological upgradation, modernization and expansion of any business. However, size of investment usually varies with the scale of business. If the business is a very large scale business, in that case, the investment will be more. In case of small scale business, the investment will be less. That is why in India, micro, small, medium, and large enterprises are defined with the respect of size of investments. More especially, investment in plant and machinery for manufacturing enterprises and investment is equivalent for service enterprises. Many a people believe that the lack of investable funds or capital is a strong barrier to start a business. We can say that every business every business requires every business requires a level of investment that is must for its smooth operation. That is must for its smooth operation. Let us continue. Gestation as uncertainty. Gestation and uncertainty. Investment takes time to fructify, and it is uncertain whether it will yield the returns as expected or not. Because in business, if you had invested, it may happen that you get a 10% return or a 15% return or a 5% return or no returns. For example, it will take time to construct and ready a hotel before it is opened for occupancy, and It is uncertain if all the rooms will be occupied all the time. In fact, it is also uncertain if the occupancy ratios, room night occupied or room night capacity, would be adequate. In economics and finance, one distinguishes between risk and uncertainty. Risk can be calculated in advance. Calculated risk. Uncertainty cannot be calculated in advance. Anything can happen in future. The future is uncertain. A natural calamity can come. There could be a fraud in the business. So we can see that future is uncertain and business needs to handle it properly. Gestation and uncertainty is a part of business. Uncertainty also relates to the amount of profit that business is going to make. Let us continue. Systematic, organized, efficiency oriented activity. Business is not a random, stray, unorganized, and occasional activity. It is a consciously created system of production. Thus, firm infrastructure needs to be in place, supply chain of materials need to be developed properly, these materials need to be processed or transformed, products need to be marketed and sold properly, payment need to be collected on time. All these tasks have to be divided into specialized functions. Means of coordination need to be devised so that a business is able to deliver the promised products and services on day-to-day basis efficiently on time of consistent quality and exceeding performance expectations. In fact, the phrase business like of a person means carrying amount task efficiently without wasting time or being distracted by personal or other concerns. Systematic and practical. I believe you understood this. So a business should be systematically organized. That business should efficiently produce goods and services. There should be minimum wastage. The labor should be trained. They should know how to handle raw material, how to handle machines, so that there would be a better input output ratio that could prevail in the business. Business is systematic in the literal sense. Business is systematic in the literal sense of the term system and integrated, unified, whole comprising of interrelated, interdependent, and interacting parts, just as an automobile system. We viewed thus for the business to perform well, it needs be ensured that all the parts should perform their respective functions well and sync with each other to be in production, sales, marketing. So these are the function: production function, sales function, operations function, marketing functions that involves advertising also. So all the functions, all the departments, the production department, the finance department, the accounting department, the sales department, the marketing department, the after sales department, all the department, the communication department. So all these departments should work efficiently, should work in a tied up manner, should work hand in hand, should not overlap each other, and brings efficiency to the business. Imagine if the production function is not synced with the marketing function and hence unable to fill the orders generated by it. So marketing function is doing the task well. A lot of marketing is happening about the company. The demand is generated because of the marketing function, but the production function is not able to fulfill that demand. Now, this is not a good situation because the marketing function and the production function is not synced together, is not communicating together, or there is some lack in communication. Production department can't say that I don't have finance to, the purchase department has not given me the raw material, so I can't produce. The raw material department or the purchase department can't say the finance department has not given me ample funds to make the purchases. Every department should take its own responsibility and behave in a very efficient manner, responsible manner. Moreover, while each function performs its task, it is important that one does not lose sight of overall objective of the firm. What is the overall objective of the firm? To make profits. To make profits. Unlike an automobile, however, business is an open system as it interacts with the environment. Business is an open system as it interacts with the environment. For example, business has to interact with the customers to get the vital feedback, product modification, and win their continuing patronage. Business needs to interact with the customer on a regular basis. Why? Because customer will give feedback about the product. That feedback could be a positive feedback or improvements could be suggested by the customer. That is a negative feedback. Improvements may be suggested by the customer, and accordingly the entrepreneur needs to do the changes required by the customer at large, obviously. See, a business needs to connect with the customer. The basically customer should be loyal and business should create goodwill. Business should create goodwill in the market and in the minds of the customer. Customer business, so customer should come back to the business. Customer should come back to the business to make repurchase. This is basically known as customer loyalty. Customer loyalty. Business should also offer some sort of customer loyalty benefits to the customer so that the customer should feel happy in associating with a particular business. If a customer feel that okay fine, this business is taking care of me, is offering me 10% off every time I visit the store, every time I make purchases of this product, I'll get some percentage of discount or rebate. In that case, he will feel happy and he will be associated with the product or he will be associated with the company. The customer will be associated with the brand. Let's continue. The next is objective oriented, purposeful. Profit is said to be defining motive behind business. In economics, objective of the firm is to set a maximization of profit. This is the first objective of the firm. to make profits or to make maximum profits. After that, there would be some auxiliary objective also, like customer satisfaction, creating a brand name, the market share, and so on. So, profits characterize income from business just as wages and salaries characterize labor, rent characterize land, and interest characterize capital. It is residue occurring to the business owners after all the other factors of production have been paid off. What are the profits for? These are for organizing production, undertaking risk, and uncertainty bearing. Let's reflect deeper on the purpose of business. We have seen above the business as an institution and more so through its entrepreneurial endeavors brings about a qualitative change called development. We have seen that entrepreneurial business person are efficiency seekers, problem solvers, and innovators. So, entrepreneurs are innovators, problem solvers, and efficiency seekers. These are the you can say the characteristics of an entrepreneur, the characteristics of a business person. These intangible aspects of business performance impart deeper meaning to business and its purpose. I believe it is clear. So businessmen keep on innovating things. He always try to improve the quality of the product. An entrepreneur always try to keep the customer happy. Some sort of promotional program he always bring into the market. An entrepreneur, a businessman generally try to add some new features to the product. He always try to reduce the cost so that the maximum benefit should be provided to the customers, and at the same time the company will also make more profits. Idealistically, business must lead the world towards more egalitarian, participative, and collective prosperity that is sustainable for generations. This ideal corresponds to the ideal of sustainable development that at business level may be interpreted as simultaneous pursuit of profitability, people well-being, and planet sustainability. Business purpose, business purpose, social purpose, benefit of the society, benefits of the society by offering better products, that is goods and services, better products that is goods and services, better products that is goods and services at reasonable prices, at reasonable prices. So as a social people, social purpose, the benefits of the society by offering better products at a reasonable prices. What business do is for people, for people, generation of employment, generation of generation of employment, generation of employment for the society. In case of profitability and economic objective, the objective of the business is to earn profits, is to earn profit, is to maximize profits, maximization of profit, maximization of profits, and the third is planet or environment. So protection of employment, protection of employment, environment, protection of environment is the ethical objectives of the business, is the ethical objectives of the business. The risk that business is taking is bearable risk. The development should be sustainable development. The future should be viable and equitable. And equitable. Equitable in the sense what? The principle of equity must be followed. There should not be any bifurcation, or there should not be any discrimination between the two employees. I believe you understood this. The business purpose: social, people, planet, environment, and profitably or economic. Think, why is sustainable development necessarily, and how business, instead of focusing solely on profits, must also attend the people's problems and planet conservation. See, if the business will not conserve the planet, if there would be an unbearable loss in the environment, then one day the business won't be able to survive. Think why it is not sufficient that business and the country just balance economic profitability and social, that is people concerns, or economic and ecological concerns, or social and ecological concerns, only leaving out the third element. While you think through, let us highlight the plurality of the objectives of business in concept elaboration number one. Concept elaboration, objectives of business. Concept elaboration, objectives of business. Interdependence. The first concept is interdependence. Business draws its factors of production. Business draws its factors of production from the society, land, labor, capital, an entrepreneur obviously, and is dependent on it for the sale of its goods and services. If business is the producer of goods, then society is the buyer of goods. The demand is created by the society only. If the society won't be purchasing the goods from the business, in that case, the business won't be able to survive and make profits. Next, second concept is multiple stakeholders. Multiple stakeholders is there in any business. Generally, we say it as suppliers, customers, competitors, government, creditors, debtors, all are all act as a stakeholder, or all are interested in our business. The banker, the lender. So a firm is not only the owners, it is much other investors, lenders, employees, customers, suppliers, competitors, and other community, and the large society and the ecology of which business is a part of it. The third is amount of profit. Profit is just about that much, and that less an objective of business as is eating for living. Do we eat to live or live to eat? Likewise, profit is at maximum concept. In fact, a cost of being in and cost of staying in the business. Do it once more. The amount of profit. Profit is just about much and less of an objective of the business, as is eating for living. Do we eat to live or live to eat? Likewise, profit is the minimum concept. For the survival of any business, profit is a must. Every business must have profits to be in the business. No business can survive without being profitable for a certain period of time, for a longer period of time. So if a business is not making profit, that means sooner or later that business is going to die. The end is going to come. The liquidation is going to happen. Likewise, profit is the minimum concept. In fact, a cost of being in and cost of staying in the business is profit. So every business should earn a minimum profit to be in the business. The next is primacy of customers. The next is primacy of customers. If at all there is a single purpose of business, it is the creation and maintenance of customers through product quality, service, delivering value for money. You should understand, my dear students, one thing. If you are giving value for money to the customer will be happily associated with you for a longer period of time. So, a businessman should try to offer much value for money products. After buying the product, the customer should not feel that I had paid more for the product. The customer should feel that this product is of the same worth what I have actually paid. So the pricing of the product is a very important decision. It will decide whether you will be in profits or not. The price of the product will decide whether you will be in the competition or not. How the substitute products or the competitors in the market is going to respond. So pricing element is very crucial in of any product. The next is performance is a precursor of profits. To be able to earn profit, the firm has to excel in all its functionalities, with procurement, production, sales and marketing, accounting and finance, and thus, even if profit is the objective, it has to be broken down in the relevant objectives of each of the areas. Let's see and talk about economic objective of a business. Sales, profit, return on investment, efficiency, that is resource conservation, achieving more from less, better input output ratio. Economic values added, profit in excess of cost of capital invested in business, that is market share, improving the market share, improving the market share and maximization of profits. These are few of the economic objectives of any business. A business will survive properly, will be able to work efficiently if the business were continuously making profits, if the market share of the company is improving, the goodwill of the company is growing, the worth of the company is positive or the worth of the company is growing, there would be a considerable improvement in the sales of the company, and so on. The next is organic objectives. The organic objective of a company is survival, health, that means age of assets, fitness of human resources, reserve capital, general and contingency reserve, growth, diversification of capabilities. Whether the business is able to survive in an adverse situation or not, whether the employees of the business are satisfied or not, We need to see the employee of the business should feel motivated. They should feel happy at work. Whenever they enter the premise, they should feel that something good is going to happen. A happy employee will build a profitable business because he will put 100% into the firm. So we as business should also take care of the employees. The next is social responsibilities, community service, education, health, sanitation, heritage conservation, community support during calamities and disasters, etc. These will act as a social responsibility for any business. If it's a very large business, we also need to fulfill corporate social responsibility, that is CSR, specific responsibilities towards employees, investors, customers, supplier, competitor. It is the business responsibility to pay fair wages to the employee, and the wages should be paid on time. There should not be any discrimination between the two employees on the basis of male and female, caste, creed, etc. The principle of equity should be followed in the business. The investor should get a return on their investment on time and on a regular basis. So, taking care of the investors is also one of the social responsibility of the business. The next is customers. We should keep our customers happy and satisfied. And how the customer will be happy and satisfied? Giving a better products, adding new features in the product. The price should be reasonable. The quality of the product should improve. The after sale services will improve. So better after sale services should be there. Adding new features in the product. We should keep on innovating the product. The prices should be controlled, and so on. Social responsibility towards suppliers. It is our responsibility to pay our suppliers on time. No delayed payment should be entertained. We should keep our words. So if we had promised that we'll pay you after 2 months and the credit period offered by the supplier is 2 months, we should pay the supplier after 2 months or within 2 months. So that because his business is also getting affected out of this. The next is competitor. There should be a healthy competition in the business, in the market. We should try to compete with the competitors in terms of price competition, quality competition, innovation competition. We should not form a cartel and create a kind of monopoly situation in the market just to exploit the customers, because if we are doing such kind of things, we'll not be able to survive for very long. The next is ethical, legal and environmental objectives. Respect of law in letter and spirit, fair practices, transparency should be there, truthfulness, honesty and integrity, green technologies, product usage and disposal, lower emissions, effective waste handling and disposal, preservation of water, air and soil quality. So basically a business should follow all the rules, should be should follow the legal perspectives, should conserve the environment, should not destroy the environment, should preserve the level of air quality, water, soil quality, and so on. Ethical practices should be followed in any business. Because if any business is following ethical practices, it's the it's the responsibility of the business to behave ethically. If any business is following ethical practices, the considerable amount of the business, basically the business is generating goodwill and good reputation in the society. The business will be known for its ethical values. The business will be known for the way they are taking care of the environment, they are taking care of their employees, and so on. I believe you understood this. Responsible business, wishful thinking, and meaningful enterprises. ASBA, India's first social enterprise focused on women. ITC, the greenest hotels chain in the world, ITC Hotels. Lemon Tree Hotels providing gainful employment to persons with disabilities. Hindustan Unilever Limited project Shakti for empowerment for rural women. Usha is also providing empowerment to women by Usha Silai schools. The plurality of the objective of business suggests that businesses must be assessed not only in terms of their economic returns but also their social and ecological returns. Business should make profits. Economic returns means should make profits. But business should also safeguard the society. Safeguard the society. Provide employment. Safeguard environment. In fact, the trend surely is towards development of more holistic and more balanced measures of business performance. Measures of business performance. Having said so, one has to be aware enough that there will be always an unscrupulous person in the mindless pursuit of greed. We should be able to discriminate between them and those who justly, fairly do their business and care for the community, society, and environment in which they live. Some argue that to an extent responsible business behavior depends on the ownership forms, more so corporate forms of business organizations. The argument is that the corporations are regulated, there is a separation of ownership and management, the latter being professional and hence more aware of the engaged in social and ecological issues. We do not intend to engage in this discussion. However, let us acquaint with the various forms of business organization. That is the next topic. I believe you must have understood. I believe you must have understood this. Let's see what we have done in today's class. Let's quickly see what we have done in today's lecture. So basically, we have seen a comprehensive distinction between business, finance, and employment. After that, we have seen the business is a job creator, not job seeker. Importance of business, significance of business, provides a momentum to economic growth. Investment intensive, business is investment intensive. A lot of investment is required in a business. Gestation and uncertainty is a part of business. Business is highly uncertain about the profits, about what will happen in the future, whether the business will be able to survive or not, how many years the business will be able to remain active. Systematic, organized, and efficient oriented activity, efficiency oriented activity. Objective oriented and purposeful. The social objective, the environmental objective, ecological objective. The concept elaborations, objectives of business we have seen in details, interdependence, multiple stakeholders, amount of profit, primacy of customer, performance is a pursuit to profits. We have seen the economic objective, social objective, organic objective, legal objectives of the business. Some responsible business, we have seen the examples of ITC, Lemon Tree, etc., Hindustan Unilever, ABDA, ASBA, and so on. Fine, so students will keep it till here. We'll keep it till here today. We'll continue from here in the next class. Thank you. Thank you.